I was mapping out this podcast, and hopefully you are going to enjoy it and you're going to get a lot out of it, because I came up with no-brainer sales strategies. And in fact, they're so good. I'm now like, oh, should I go back and change my SMS challenge? I'm not changing the SMS challenge. When it comes to sales, I firmly believe that you have to have people who believe in your products and in your brand. Okay, so or your store. Like we call it a brand, you can call it your store, but they have to believe in what you're selling. And it doesn't matter if this is your sales team who are on the floor, or the person who's potentially sourcing products for you, or the person writing the product descriptions. But if you don't believe in what you sell, can you really sell it effectively? Hey there, and welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. If you're looking to get more sales, more customers, master your marketing, and ultimately take control of your retail or e-commerce business, then you're in the right place. I'm Selena Knight, a retail growth strategist and multi-award-winning store owner whose superpower is uncovering exactly what your business requires to move to the next level. I'll provide you with the strategies, the tools, and the insight you need to scale your store. All you need to do is take action. Ready to get started? So it is early on a Tuesday morning. I have my cup of tea. I feel like I'm talking very quietly, even though everybody else in the house is already awake because we wake up really early. But today's episode, let's be honest, is kind of one of those episodes where crap went wrong. Like, it's last minute. Normally, I have been way more planned than this. So our podcasts go live on a Friday. And what I actually do these days, because I'm trying to reduce all of the chaos in my life, quite often it is self-imposed chaos. But what I'm doing is batching all of my podcasts. I used to do this ages ago, and it was so much more freeing, and it gave me so much more time to do other things rather than constantly last minute rushing to put something on social media, to get the podcast to the editor, all the things. So now I record like 2 weeks every 2 months, and I batch 6 or 8 podcasts. It's great, and I love it. But unfortunately, sometimes shit happens. And the best laid plans can go to waste. And the podcast editor accidentally deleted a bunch of our files. Now, because we use Dropbox, we were actually able to rewind and get a lot of those podcasts back again. The only one we could not get back was the one we had scheduled for this week. And they've been trying, my beautiful business manager, Joed, and our podcast editor, Wade, have been trying really hard to recover the files for the last week or so. But we've got to the point where it's now last minute. Tuesday before a podcast goes live is very last minute. And so it has fallen to me to fill in the gaps because I am the podcast host. The thing is, I was not planning on recording a podcast, and I literally had no idea what to record about. And I mean, the great thing is, you may or may not have noticed, but our podcasts run each week in line with the 5 pillars of retail success. So we go money, sales, customers, marketing, impact. It makes life really easy because it means when we schedule guests, we know the type of guests we want for each of those pillars. It means social media is so much easier because we post about money, and then we post about sales, and then customers, and then marketing, and then impact. So it makes life really easy. Today's episode was to be about sales. And my issue with, in air quotes, with coming up with something was quite simply that I have been working on a 7-day SMS sales challenge. So not just using SMS to get sales, but short little snippets of a challenge that you can get access to via SMS. So no email, no 20-minute long videos. Like, these are a couple of minutes, 7 things that you can implement to get sales coming in the lead up to Christmas. So my brain has been filled with sales information, and I didn't just want to reuse that content because that would defeat the purpose of the 7-day challenge, because the challenge does a couple of things, right? It's lead generation for me. Obviously, I'm going to sell you into something because that is what a sales funnel is. It's a new product that we have designed all about getting sales and getting sales quickly. And that's what I've noticed in so many places. And look, it is not the be all and end all. I still think there is a place for, we call it long form copy. So I still think there is a place for masterminds, and I still think there's a place for courses and programs like Scale Your Store. But we have to meet our customers where they're at. And in this day and age, with reels and stories and everybody wanting everything in 90 seconds, I appreciate that you want really quick win strategies that you can implement. So create a new program, create a new challenge, can't just reuse that content. But here's the thing. I'm also really smart these days with what I produce because I need to be able to repurpose that. And I did a couple of videos just recently on Instagram. You follow me on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, the Selena Knight, I'd really appreciate it if you do, because I really struggle with social media. I love talking. I love the podcast. So if you don't follow me, I put some really helpful, useful tips, not too much crazy dancing, even though I love dancing. I'm really not very good at it, but lots of useful tips, some fun stuff, some good, helpful, creative strategies, I guess, and some creative inspiration. So I recently I had a 4-minute video and I chopped it up, the same video, into 3 different reels. And each one of those reels is great, but it is very, very different depending on, this is the power of editing, right? Depending on the sections that you pull out. So coming into this podcast, I needed to feel confident that whatever I made, which is why I recorded on video as well, whatever I made could be repurposed and potentially, hopefully, not potentially, probably going to be reused in the lead up to marketing this challenge, which is end of October. In my attempts, if you're watching this video on YouTube, in my attempts to be way more professional and cut that chaos out of my life, I've actually mapped out on the board behind us our next 5 months worth of promotions. It's just wireframing, but at least my team know what we're going to promote and when, which means we don't get that maelstrom of, it's time to promote something. We now have it all mapped out. Okay, so this podcast has to do double duty. It has to be useful for you guys today, but it also has to be something that we can chop up, that we can edit, we can use the video, we can use the content in the lead up to my 7-day SMS sales challenge. So what the heck am I going to talk about? In our team meeting yesterday, Joed said to me after the call, she said, I think you should go to the gym, because I hadn't been to the gym for like 4 days, and I really love going to the gym these days. It really clears my head. And she said, I think you should go to the gym, then work on the podcast, because I find doing some other kind of action actually helps my inspiration. And so it was a great idea. I went to the gym just for 30 minutes. It's at the top of my street, so it wasn't very long. And in between reps, I was mapping out this podcast, and hopefully you are going to enjoy it and you're going to get a lot out of it, because I came up with no-brainer sales strategies. And in fact, they're so good. I'm now like, should I go back and change my SMS challenge? I'm not changing the SMS challenge. All right. When it comes to sales, we're jumping in. If you haven't already noticed, should I take a sip of my tea, because it is still very, very early? Okay. We're ready to go. When it comes to sales, I firmly believe that you have to have people who believe in your products and in your brand. Okay, so or your store. Like we call it a brand, you can call it your store, but they have to believe in what you're selling. And it doesn't matter if this is your sales team who are on the floor, or the person who's potentially sourcing products for you, or the person writing the product descriptions. And let's be honest, if you're listening to this podcast, it's likely you fall into 1, maybe 2, maybe even 3 of those categories. You're either on the floor sourcing the products or writing the product descriptions, or a combination of all of those. But if you don't believe in what you sell, can you really sell it effectively? People do, right? People sell stuff, but does it have that same essence in it where, the reason you got into business? Do they actually care about helping your customer, or is it just cheap tat that they could buy off AliExpress? They're different transactions. And I don't think you want to be the cheap stuff off AliExpress, right? That's why you're here. We talk a lot on this. I talk a lot on this podcast about having a business that's a job and being the CEO of a business that works for you rather than one that drains you. It's the same for sales. The person who turns up because it's a job and just wants to get paid is never going to be as good as the salesperson and the team members, like even your back of house team members. Maybe it's your e-commerce manager, maybe it's a VA, maybe it's your marketing people. They have to believe in your store, in the brands that you sell and in your customers, because that conviction comes through. People can see it, even if it is completely online. So this wasn't actually going to be one of the strategies, but I think it should be. The first strategy is to hire people who believe in you and your brand and your products, who believe in what you sell and why you sell it. That is a no-brainer, because when they believe, they'll sell more and you're going to have happier customers. So no-brainer sales strategy number one is hire people right from the beginning, whether it is in-house or an agency, that believe in what you do and what you sell. Number two, this is like a really big overarching concept that you have to take into your business, because the biggest things that you have to do in sales is to overcome objections, right? Which means you need to decrease the risk. Now, did you know that studies show, and I know that I love pop psychology. I love reading about behavioral psychology and neuro-linguistic programming and all that kind of stuff. So I actually really enjoy reading about studies and what they show. And so studies have shown over and over and over again that people will go to more effort to avoid losing something than they will take to grab an opportunity that could put them in a vastly better scenario. So let's put this into real life examples. People will go to more effort not to lose $10 than they will to invest in something that could almost certainly make them $1,000. Right? These are actual scenarios that they've done studies on. And I have to say, I see this all the time. You probably hear me harp on and on and on about it. But retail and e-commerce store owners will hold on to stock because they don't want to make a loss. They don't want to sell it for less than they bought it for, because that's a loss, rather than just selling it off, reinvesting whatever money they get and making 5 or 10 times more, sometimes in just a couple of weeks. I mean, in my head, that is crazy, right? Why would you do that? It is because we are hardwired to go to this effort not to lose, even if you know that you could be better off gaining something else. And that's a great scenario in retail is, why won't you sell something off, even if it means potentially losing money on what you paid for it? You might buy something for $20 and you have to sell it for $17, but then you could take that $17 and invest it in stuff that is actually selling. And you just turn that money over and over and make more sales. I mean, it's crazy to me that people will go to those lengths not to sell something and just put it in the cupboard to pull it out next season. So, as I said, scientific fact. They did another study when, and I won't get into this too much, where they gave students grades at the beginning of the semester. So they got, say, 100 points, and then they would lose points according to how they performed in exams and assignments. And then they did a group of kids the other way. So they got points which is, how the system pretty much works, right? You start on 0 and you get points for your performance. But here's the thing. The students that were on the converse structure, where they got points taken away from them, actually did better. They did significantly better. All right. So what does all this lead to? This strategy was all about decreasing risk. So your customers are the same. They will go, even if they are shopping for something, they will go to every effort to not buy, because they might lose their hard-earned money, right? We are hardwired to this. And this is why you always got to have abandoned cart sequences. Someone puts the product in, they get to checkout, and something in our brain says, whoa, do you really need this? Now, I was just shopping a couple of days ago for squeaky dog toys because my dog broke his toe. And as a result, he can't actually leave one level of of the house because he's too heavy for us to carry. And I'm buying squeaky dog toys on Amazon. I've gone there to buy squeaky dog toys. I've read all the reviews of the squeaky dog toys. Do I just press go, buy? No, I had to leave them sit in that cart. I was watching TV at the same time, till the next ad break before I pressed go. It is a thing. But if you understand that this is a thing, then you can use this to beat your competition when it comes to the sale. And conversely, if you squash all of the perceived risks, customers are actually going to be chomping at the bit to click the buy button. So how do you go from the hell no's to the hell yes? It is all about decreasing risk. Let's look at ways that you can do that, okay? When I shop, I just like the squeaky dog toys, I look at the product, and then the next thing I do is I immediately scroll down to the review section. And in fact, I quite often won't buy if there are no reviews, because that is decreasing my risk. That is giving me the information I need to make an informed decision. So quite often it is the difference between me buying and not. But bad reviews aren't always a bad thing. What they're going to do is to help filter out the people who aren't perfect for the product, which means for you, it's a win because you're not having to deal with returns. You're not having to deal with unhappy customers. So don't necessarily think bad reviews are a bad thing. I buy a lot of activewear. I go to the gym 6, sometimes 7 times a week. I'm literally sitting here in activewear as I record this right now because my next stop after this podcast is to the gym. So the brand that I love, it can be a bit hit and miss sometimes, especially with pants. And I like a specific height, rise, whatever the technical term is. And so I will look at the picture to see where the pants sit in regards to her belly button. I don't like really high pants. And then I go straight to the reviews. And sometimes they'll say they run large, they run small, they fall down when you squat, because I do lots of lots of lifting these days. I definitely need the squat proof pants. And I will read the reviews, and that will help me make a decision, because some people will say, they're great for running, not great for strength training. Okay, well, that's great. They're not the pants for me. So reviews are one of the easiest ways to decrease risk for your customers. Now, another way that I like to decrease risk, but this one really helps you stand out from the competition, is the use of video. And if you check out an Australian fashion retailer called Bird's Nest, they have embraced video like no tomorrow. And they even go that little bit further to use different sized models inside of their little videos. And they're just they go for maybe 5 seconds. They're little runway videos where someone comes out, does a little sachet, and then walks off. But what it does is it gives you the opportunity to see what the clothes look like on real people. And to me, that's important, especially if there's a model that has my kind of shape, right? That is the difference between me buying and not. So using video does help you, just helps you set yourself apart from the competition. And I know you're probably thinking, well, I can't afford to be going and doing video for every single product. I've got an answer for you. Quite simply, go and crowdsource the video. I mean, this is something that I used to do I sound so old. I used to do this back in the day. So 15 years ago, before we even had Instagram, before we had these easy to use social media platforms, we had Facebook maybe just. We had a review board of customers. And so these were our VIP customers who we would negotiate with our suppliers to give us product. It's like all the rage now, #influencers before they were influencers. And we would, when we found a product that we thought would be good for that person, we'd call them up. Hey, we've got this new product. Would you like to try it out? Depending on how busy they were, sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. But there was a requirement that you got this product in exchange for having to write a proper review, like how did you use it? Who would it be great for? We had a sheet that they would fill out, and then they would write a blog post on it and hopefully take some pictures. It cost us nothing. because we negotiated with the supplier to get those extra couple of pieces. These people were more than happy. They're our VIPs. They love the spotlight. They love being able to share their views and being able to help people. So you can do this too. You could do something as lo-fi as that, like take my advice from 15 years ago and have this as a VIP structure, the ability to review products, or just we call this UGC, user-generated content. Now you can get this from your reviews. If you use a great review program, you can ask people to upload video. And as long as it's in your terms and conditions that you can use that video again, hello, easy to use. These videos can go onto your product pages. They can go onto your social media. They can go onto your landing pages. So user-generated content, if you can't create your own videos, unboxing videos. Like these things are the bomb diggity right now. One of our Scale Your Store students, Marie Chambers, her products went viral on YouTube. Dots Yarn Den, check them out. She put together some mystery bags and they were bought by a YouTube influencer with 1 million followers, went viral, didn't even know it. Now, again, this could be like if you're a bit over the whole influencer, what do we call it these days, agreements, let's just say, then maybe you go somewhere different and you get a YouTuber, or you just use your customers and you get them to do the unboxing videos. There's a great brand called Secret Lab, and they make gamer chairs. My husband has one. Their product, it's slick as, their customer experience is slick as. You get this massive big box for your chair. It's black and on the top it says, unbox me, or something along those lines. Google Secret Lab chair unboxing. You'll find a gazillion videos because they have a very smart strategy, one that you can take away too, which is if you record the unboxing and upload it, you get an extra year's warranty on the chair. It's a no-brainer, right? Everyone wants the extra year. But they now have a gazillion, that's a technical term, okay? You can go and count them. There's a gazillion videos out there that they can use for their social media, on their landing pages, on their product pages. It didn't cost them anything. The warranty was already there. All they did was reduce it for the other people who didn't want the unboxing video. So think about that as well. That's going to decrease your risk. So what we're talking about now is decreasing risk. Reviews and videos, even reviews, videos together, using reviews, videos, which is that user-generated content, to decrease the risk because people want to know what they're getting. Customers are actually going to pay you more for this. Customers will pay more for a site that gives reviews. Customers will pay more for you showing that you are not some dodgy AliExpress reseller. Right? They need to know, to decrease the risk, that you are a business that they can count on. And this is going to set you apart. The other thing that both the videos and the reviews are going to do is you're going to rank higher organically because, especially reviews, people are talking in real world talk. Like they're writing the way that they would speak, which means you are getting organic SEO for free. Think about how much money you might be paying an SEO company. Could you be investing that money into software that's going to give you great reviews? Okay. The other thing you can do for decreasing risk is give people the option to try before you buy. Now, this is something that we used to do. Again, I feel like a bit of an OG. We used to sell baby carriers in our store, which were sometimes up to $500. This is like 10 years ago, right? $500 for a baby carrier. There's a lot of hesitation before you spend $500 on a thing that you're wearing a baby. It has to fit well. If it doesn't work, you're now $500 down the drain. You've got to try and resell it. You have to go and find a new one. So to conquer this barrier, what we did was we offered the ability to try before you buy. And we would have, again, a demo carrier that our companies had sent in for us. In some cases, we had to pay a small amount. In other cases, they actually had these and it had demo carrier written on it. So no one was going to steal it because it had demo carrier embroidered on it. But this gave us the opportunity to hire, in air quotes, them out for people to try before they buy. And if one didn't work, they could come in and swap it out for another one. They paid a deposit, all the legal requirements. They signed a contract. But we had a 99% buy rate. Now think about that. Nearly every single person went on to buy a carrier versus how many people just didn't because they didn't know if it was going to work for them. There is a great company, I'm sure there's lots of businesses out there, but there's a great company in Australia called Try at Home, and they work worldwide. And what they do is they allow your customers to buy a bunch of stuff and try it on and send back what they don't like. I'm sure some of you are probably thinking, this is fraught with danger. You've been burnt in the past. But the simple fact is when people try clothes on, they will buy more. Right? That's what it comes down to. So if you can facilitate this for your customers, you're probably going to end up with higher revenue because, again, if your customers aren't offering, if your competitors aren't offering this service, who are they going to buy for? If I have the choice of buying the exact same brand from two resellers and one is going to let me try it before I buy it and the other is not, which one am I going to choose? Even if the one that is going to let me try it before I buy it is a little bit more expensive, I will still do it because I know that I can buy a whole bunch of stuff, try it on, send it back. It's a business model that works. So thinking about how you're going to decrease risk, is it going to be something simple as reviews, maybe a little bit more complex like videos, services like Try at Home or Try Before You Buy? I mean, we know that the average order value in a store is higher than the average order value online. And that's because people can touch it, feel it, smell it, all the things. Now, what I haven't mentioned in decreasing risk is you've got to have the obvious things like you've got to have guarantees in place. You've got to have a really clear returns policy. You've got to have clear shipping policies. Like they're kind of a given. I think at this level, if you're listening to this podcast, you would already have those. So we won't delve into those, but know that I'm not dismissing those out of the system. I just want to give you some ideas on how you can decrease that risk because we are hardwired to avoid not to give people our money. So once you've eliminated the risk or at least decreased it in some way, shape or form, now you have to decrease the effort. So remember I said to you, people will go to a lot of effort to not lose something. So the loss and the risk we've just dealt with. And now we have to eliminate effort, right? Two pieces of the puzzle. I mean, again, I feel like this is something really easy and really simple, but people just avoid for I don't know what reason. The easiest way to me to decrease the effort is to put in place things like Shop Pay, Apple Pay, Buy Now, Pay Later, PayPal, Credit, like have a simple way for people to give you money. It's easy as that. If you only accept one form of payment, if you don't have Apple Pay or Google Pay or Shop Pay installed, that could be the difference between a sale and not. Because now I have to go and find my credit card. And, if I'm sitting here at my desk, my purse is upstairs. Like sometimes I just can't be bothered. I'm just like, whatever, I'll do it later. And quite often I don't do it later. Right? Simple things like that online. In store, it could be as ridiculously easy as taking things out of people's hands and putting them behind the counter so that they can shop hands-free. This was a sales strategy I learned. And again, it's a no-brainer, right? But it never occurred to me. And I went to a sales seminar and someone mentioned this and I was like, oh my God, hand hitting my forehead. Why do I not do that? And we started implementing it. If someone was holding things, we would take it and we would put it behind the counter. It was a great conversation starter. It meant that we could initiate conversation with the customer. We could help them find things. Two, it gave them the option to continue to shop. Because if you've got your hands full, you can't pick stuff up. You just go, I'll just get this and I'll walk out. But if someone is taking that away from you, has had a conversation, is helping you, you've got your two hands free, they will likely buy nearly everything that's there. They're not doing the equivalent of abandoned cart, but in person, where they pick things up, they've got too much in their hands, so they put it back to, I don't really need that, I'll put it back down. I can tell you from experience when we implemented this, the items per basket or number of items in each sale increased significantly. So this could be something so ridiculously simple that you just train your team on is if someone's holding stuff, you take it off them, you tell them, shop hands-free, we'll just put it at the counter. You can go through it when you get there. And I can almost guarantee you that you will make more money, your customers will be happier, and your revenue is going to go up. Right? That's a no-brainer. So easy ways to pay and just making shopping easier for the customer. To me, that's my in-store equivalent of an abandoned cart. So how do you reduce the abandoned carts? There are a couple of more things that you can do to kind of leverage once you've gotten people to the cart or even to your website, like one-click upsells. If you are not implementing like one-click upsells, please do this straight away. We use them in our checkout process, and we have admittedly a ridiculously huge 80% take-up rate. Now that is far exceeds what the average rate is. It tends to sit at around 10 to 30%. In our system, we sit at 80%. But that means for that one product, the average order value goes from $27 to $46 because we have a $19 upsell. Right? At least 80, sometimes we get as high as 90%, will take that additional upsell. They have to click the box. Like it's not just added automatically into cart. But if you are not using upsells, especially one-click upsells, we have 3 upsells in our cart process. And those numbers decrease because the amount of the upsell goes up, but all of them are one click. Once you've entered your payment details, you just have to click the button and it just adds it. It just charges it to your card. So you can use these in your checkout process. You can use them on the product pages, and you can also implement them post-purchase. Yes. You probably have seen this if you've ever been to Vistaprint, where you buy something and then it's like you've got 15 minutes to add this thing to your cart. These are really easy ways to minimize effort. So we've talked today in this episode about, first of all, having people who are great at like really investing in your business and being true to your brand. We talked about reducing the risk, reviews, video, try at home, any way that you can think to set yourself apart from the competition and to get people to think, I'm pretty sure that I'm almost certain that I'm going to get the thing that I ordered and I'm going to enjoy it. And then we looked at decreasing the effort. So decrease the risk, decrease the effort. Different types of payment solutions, avoiding abandoned carts in whatever way, shape or form that might look like, whether it's in-store or online. And I air quoted my abandoned carts. And then leveraging increasing your average order value through things like upsells. Alrighty. How was that for a last minute podcast episode? I think it turned out okay. I don't really know how many hopefully you counted how many things we went through, because I certainly lost count. But we had the 3 big overarching themes: great people, reducing risk, reducing effort. So if you take all of that and implement it, or you take any of those things and implement it, I would love it if you could let me know. I've been making a really big effort on social media, particularly on Instagram. So hit me up. Tell me what you implemented and how you got results, because that makes my day. I mean, I am in this to help you, to help your customers. And every one of those comments that I get, every email, every Facebook or Instagram message that we get, we read them. And as a team, we celebrate them. So if you share your wins, you're going to make me happy, you're going to make the team happy, and of course, you're going to make your customers happy. That is a no-brainer. And of course, if you could leave me a review if you love this podcast, share it with that. Just get the word out, okay? I'm making an effort to put myself out there into the land of social. I would love it if you could help me along for the ride. All right, you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you back here again next week. Bye. So that's a wrap. I'd love to hear what insight you've gotten from this episode and how you're going to put it into action. If you're a social kind of person, follow me at @TheSelena and make sure to leave a comment and let me know. And if this episode made you think a little bit differently or gave you some inspiration, or perhaps gave you the kick that you needed to take action, then please take a couple of minutes to leave me a review on your platform of choice. Because the more reviews the show gets, the more independent retail and e-commerce stores just like yours that we can help to scale. And when that happens, it's a win for you, a win for your community, and a win for your customers. I'll see you on the next episode.